and we're very happy to have Sonia Arrison here. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you came a really long way actually to be here, so I appreciate it. You wear so many different hats, and I've met you, I think, the first time at one of our first longevity workshops, which was probably, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or something, in a small workshop room next to a squash room in a gentleman's club in Palo Alto when that community was still quite small. And you've really kind of been very authentic and haven't given up from the very, very early days at supporting this community. And now it's grown so much, obviously through the efforts of many people that are here. But it's been really exciting to see your role in this entire field. And you wear so many different hats and trying to advance the space for longevity. So maybe let's start with your policy hat, and maybe we can focus a little bit on the topic at hand of AI and bio. So you're really helping A4LI. Does everyone here know what A4LI is? Okay, many people, but maybe
I think I can see some people who were just here. We just had a big event in DC.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it and the role of government and policy in advancing the AI for biospace.
We call it the fly-in. This was our second year, we brought a whole bunch of scientists and longevity bio people to DC. To speak, and then invited a whole bunch of congressional staffers to come in and listen to them. Our first one was last year, and we got a decent number of staffers last year, but this year the room was packed with staffers. It was incredible. And then so we had 2 days of talks, and then and government agencies were there too. ARPA-H was there the entire time. I mean, it was incredible. We had Dr. Oz speak. He's the new head of Medicare, Medicaid, and everybody was very impressed with him because he came in with really a solid knowledge of what's going on in longevity biotech. And so that was very, very impressive. And he was very supportive of what we're doing. And then on the final day, the thing actually that was even better than everything I've already said is that we set up meetings for longevity bioscientists, all the people who came to this event, to go and meet their Congress people and tell them why they're there, what they're doing, and why longevity bio is important, and why Congress should do something to help us. And we had so many an incredible number of meetings were set up. And not only that, after the meetings were set up, I guess, according to Dylan, who's the president of A4LI, so they were hanging out in the hallways, just walking around, and then they saw random Congress people and started talking to them. And so we had even more meetings than we were supposed to have in the first place because, once the scientists started talking what they were doing, they just wanted to keep going. And there's an audience for it. I mean, to me, it kind of feels like, I've been around in the tech world for a long time. I moved to the Bay Area in 1999 during the height of one of many internet booms. And, back then, Silicon Valley was not engaged with Washington, D.C. at all. And they thought that was okay. And
but also not the other way around.
Yeah, and not the other way around either. I mean, D.C. was also not engaged with Silicon Valley. They didn't even know what the internet was. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, really. And so... and Microsoft didn't think that they needed to do anything about the government, and then they found out in a really painful way that if you don't watch what the government's doing, you might get your company broken up. And so it really does matter what policy we have at our national and state levels, and A4LI is doing work on the state level too. Not to go too far off the rails here, but we've been working to pass right to try legislation in Montana. We actually got one bill passed, and then there's a second bill that kind of clarifies the first bill. This is how government works. It's very slow and tedious, and there's all these little rules that you have to follow. And so the second bill has already gone through the House and the Senate, and it passed. And now it's just going to the governor's desk for signature. And we expect that to be signed, which is really great news for our community because Montana will be the first state in the United States to have right to try. You don't have to be sick to try a medicine. If you're a healthy person and you want to try some longevity thing, it has to have gone through phase 1 already. It has to be proven to be safe, right? But then once it gets past that post, according to the Montana legislation, you can try it. So Montana is about to become a hub of longevity bio research and companies and clinics. And so that's, you're not going to have to fly to some foreign country anymore. That's super exciting, right?
That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, hopefully, it's one of many to come. Maybe it can serve as a model. All right, so that's one of your heads, right? You're also wearing a separate head, which is your Foresight head. You're on our board, but you've also supported many of our programs, including our seminar programs, our workshops, etc. And as we are moving towards actually trying to develop project proposals here that like win a 10K grant through our bio and bio nano grants that you have helped set up, what would you recommend people developing, let's say, philanthropically funded projects at the intersection of AI and bio? What would you recommend them having in mind as they draft project proposals?
As a philanthropist,
yeah, we're going to get you investor head as well. But if you think about like, academic projects or projects that are philanthropically funded, like more that are like a little bit more blue sky, that are trying to like actually solve some bottlenecks at the frontier, what would you think they should be focusing on?
Well, I'm not an AI expert, but I do think that people who are working at the intersection of AI and bio should be focusing on things that, and maybe this is obvious, but focusing on things that humans are really bad at, right? So, or we're weak at, right? So, or we can't get good at until we get older. So one of the perennial issues actually in the longevity field or health span field that I think about a lot is like how, like, if we could extend health spans, there'd be a lot more innovation in the world and it would boost our economy. And why would there be more innovation as people get older? Because as you're older, you have more experience and you learn something from this field over here, and then because you're older, you've learned something from this field over here, and then you've learned something from this field over here, and just by virtue of you being around, you've seen all these things and you go, oh, I can connect the dots, and boom, there's an innovation, right? And so, but that takes a really long time. And I think AI could probably help us do some of that stuff because it could become an expert really fast in that area, and then an expert really fast there, and an expert, and then boom, the dots are connected. And so I think that would be a way that AI could really help humans be better at their job, right? And from my point of view, that's also a way for, because I think about AI a lot these days, actually, in the context of many different things other than just longevity. But there's always people who say, humans are creative, and like AI is not going to replace that. And it's like humans are going to be creative, and AI is going to do all the efficiency stuff. And that's great. AI is very good at efficiency stuff. Even better when it gets married with robot, right? And so automation. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here, but
it's good. We definitely have automation in the workshop program as one of the goals to tackle here.
I love the automation portion of it, and so I know you're going to ask me probably later about like my investments and stuff, but I invested in a company that's using AI and automation in the lab, which we need more of that. That's really good.
And it actually works? Like, is it like?
Yeah, they've already deployed. I'm very excited about it.
What are they automating? Like the entire stack, or?
Well, I'm probably the worst person to talk about specifically what they're automating, because I'm always like, oh, the pipettes, but they're like, oh, it's not really the pipettes. It's, they're doing some stuff in the lab that scientists use, and I'm not an expert on that either.
No, it's really exciting. Even I think Stanford has a virtual lab now where you have like different components of labs being automated, and then this meta agent that is like putting them together. And I think it's definitely very difficult, I think, to automate much of the lab processes, but maybe doing different chunks and then having like an intermediate that composes that local problem-solving ability together, you might get somewhere.
Yeah. But I guess back to the point I wanted to wrap around and come to is I think AI can help humans become more creative. I think AI is an engine for creation, actually, not just efficiency.
I do hope so. I mean, like, some of the data streams that we have in biology are definitely a bit too complex for one of us to make use of. And maybe what humans have when they get more experience across different fields, they may also sometimes think that some things are just not possible anymore, or like that are not possible, even though they now have become possible. And hopefully AI systems don't suffer from that bias.
Right.
But we'll see. Okay, great. Any final words? Maybe for those people here who is working at a company, who is the founder of a company here in the AI and biospace, if you want to raise your hand. Okay, well then let's maybe talk to those people, to wrap it up. Like, as an investor in that space, what are you looking for, both in terms of like bottlenecks to solve at that intersection, but also like from a good perspective of like building a good company?
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, I love the idea of AI helping with creation. And in terms of just focusing really on the bio part of it, I think the biomarkers, one of the things we really need, all the levels we're talking about here. Like the FDA really needs biomarkers in order to, and companies really need biomarkers in order to figure out whether or not their therapies are working or not, because we can't just wait around for somebody to age and like figure out if an aging therapy works, right? And so we need really good biomarkers. And so I think that's something I would love to see AI companies focusing on. So that's one area. And then automation is, I've been in love with the whole automation thing for so long, because you see all these stories about, or I hear these stories about, these young scientists who have to show up at their lab at 2 a.m. to like go do something, because if they don't, the whole experiment's going to be ruined.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, so somebody sleeps in or like goes out too late or something and the whole thing is ruined? Come on. Like that's ridiculous that we haven't fixed that yet.
That's true. Yeah, and I think companies are gradually getting on top of that. Like tonight, we're going to visit E11 Bio, and we just did a quick lab tour of them to prep for tonight, and it's really exciting. They're basically trying to automate the entire pipeline. Okay, well, thank you. Any final words and any final advice for people trying to make progress at the intersection here?
Well, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you and finding out what you're doing.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sonia.
Thanks, Allison.